many of you I've seen previous occasions. It's always good to see you. Every chance I get back here, I do it. And George had called, and it was a late notice, and I'm traveling all over the country now. Really busy schedule, but George asked if I could squeeze this in. I just came in from Georgia for the last 3 days, speaking down there. Next weekend I go to Texas. Before that I was in Ohio. That's kind of my life now, and I'm not complaining, but that's the way it is. But I found a couple of days, and I always tell George when he asks, I say, let me look. If I can, I will. And I usually do. All right, I love you folks. I really do. You folks have taken me in. You make me feel like family. This is a tough night. It really is. And I'm going to be short up here because people who came up here before me, that was the show. All right, I'm just coming up here to wrap it up. And sometimes, and I get to speak a lot, but sometimes less is more. So you're going to get less tonight from me. But I do have a couple of things that I want to share with you. First of all, how many elected officials are here tonight? My friend Heather Darden, surrogate Morris County. To which I say, and I know there was a candidate before who was here, Billy, great guy. But I think that's telling. Because next year, when all of those folks are up for election, trust me, they're going to want to attend your events, and they're going to want a couple minutes at the microphone to do their stump speech, and I think that's insulting. I really do. Insulting to you folks. Insulting to your families. They're the ones that needed to hear these speeches tonight. Right? We kind of know. We kind of know. Unless you've gone through it, unless you've walked in their shoes, you don't really know. We know that. I don't have that story. But we kind of know. They're the ones that don't know. The cop haters out there are the ones that don't know. They need to hear that. So we got to take this out there and let it go beyond this 500-acre parcel of land here. Because I've been all over this country, and I get a chance. 3 of the last 4 events I've been to were support the police rally. I'm still out there fighting for the first responders, for the people who wear the uniform of their community, because I owe a lot to them. They helped me get to where I wanted to go. And the reason I say I love you, and that's not phony, because oftentimes people come up to me and they say these nice things, Sheriff, you're an inspiration, keep going. And I say, no, you inspire me. Because this is a tough road. And I'm not looking for sympathy. I chose this. All right? But I'm human and I need support too. And I need strength too. And I derive it from coming to events like this and hearing these things. This type of service, selfless service to the community, not like political service. I hate when politicians call themselves public servants. No. That's political service. No offense to my friend Heather, who is also a regular to these events. This blue suicide crisis, that's what it is. It is a crisis. In 2019, 228 police officers took their own lives. 228. In 2020, more than that. This is a crisis. This is at crisis level right now. Where's the support from out there? Where are the politicians budgeting for money, for grants, for research on this crisis? Why, in this period of time, we could guess, why are law enforcement officers taking their own lives? You know, we could come up with probably 10 right off the top of our heads, right? But I don't want to guess. I want to know. Because once we find that out, we will be able to implement remedies to disrupt the process. As you know, and as you heard, getting to that moment is a process. People don't wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to end it all. It's a process. And if you interrupt that, as you heard the survivors of it, there was an interruption in the process. And the sooner that we can interrupt it, and the sooner that we can deal not just with this mental health, but mental wellness, which would precede the mental health issue, that we get law enforcement officers, first responders, firefighters, EMTs, nurses, mental wellness. So it doesn't even start on that process and on that path. Where's the money? There's a lot of money that's spent on research. There are colleges and universities, there are research centers that get tens of millions of dollars a year to study bullshit. And I'm out here now asking, where's ours? Don't you care? Do you know that law enforcement officers who commit suicide at rates higher than any other profession in this country? Any other profession. Us. It is the leading cause of death for law enforcement officers. Think about that. Do you know that more officers in the last 2 or 3 years have committed suicide than have been killed in the line of duty? It is now the leading cause of death of law enforcement officers, and a law enforcement officer today has a higher chance of committing suicide than being killed in the line of duty. Think about that. Try to get your heads around that. You're more likely to take your life by the percentages than you are to die by a bullet or a motor vehicle crash or stabbing or some other way on the street. Think about that. This is what it means to me. This is the sense of urgency that I have. And I'm not trying to lecture you, but that's why I asked about the politicians. Where the hell are they? And next time when they come slinking around, wanting to come to your events to speak and introduce themselves, they need to be asked. You've been in office, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. How many bills have you introduced to create a grant for the study of law enforcement suicide? Because the answer is none. Yet they want to come in and talk about how they care about the police. Two other things, and then I'm done. You're short. First one. We're still supposed to be in the midst of a pandemic. Right? Do you folks realize, first responders, fire, police, EMTs, nurses, I consider nurses as part of the family, saving lives. We get them to the hospital and hand them off, right? You folks held this country together over the last 18 months. This country was coming apart at the seams. We had a very tough election that was about to happen, and then the pandemic hits. Businesses are shut down, lockdowns, people losing their jobs. You don't continue to get paid. Not just you because you went to work, politicians who didn't go to work. Other public sector employees who stayed home and got paid, while the private sector lost their jobs. But you folks answered the call. You couldn't stay home. You couldn't lock down. You couldn't social distance. If somebody needed medical help, you had to get within that 6-foot circle, right? You had to, and you did. And the same with firefighters, and the same with EMTs, and the same with hospital personnel. They couldn't socially distance. You held this country together. And I haven't heard anybody thank you for it. A couple signs. Thank our first responders. You held this country together. It was on fire and coming apart at the seams. But you went to work every day. You had to. And I want to thank you for that. From the bottom of my heart. And now they're talking. Look at how they're running over you now, forcing vaccine passports and mandate. Don't get me started on that, but that's how they treat you. Now they're kicking you in your ass. Oh, you're going to do this. Oh, really? You guys were out there, women, I say that generically, when there was no vaccine. They didn't care about you then either. They didn't have vaccines, and yet, you went and you answered the call. If somebody needed medical help, you gave it to them. There's a gunshot victim, you got to get down there and stop the bleeding, right? The same with the other first responders. And there was no vaccine. This is how you get treated. I'm tired of it. I've been tired of it. But we still got to move on. We got to move forward. We got to do something about this blue suicide. I'm tired of reading about these numbers. I'm tired of it. But tired isn't going to help. Research is going to help. Cops are tough people. You heard the stories. They internalize everything. It's easy to say, reach out for help. But I know that's the proper thing to say and advice to give, but this is not that simple for cops. Careers are at stake. It's a tough situation. And you're not getting much help from your law enforcement, your agency executives. Very little help. The chiefs and the sheriffs should be out there standing at a news conference. I will not force my people to get vaccine mandates. And no, I will not fire them, and you won't fire them either. Where are they? I don't know.
We're losing that paycheck.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all for what you do. I can't thank you enough. Hang in there, keep your heads held high. These communities would collapse without you. They would just collapse. I'll be back again, good Lord willing. I'm not promised tomorrow, nobody is. But I'll continue to come back here. You folks are great. I love you to death. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.